Starting on day one of my new administration, we will end inflation and we will make America affordable again because the prices are too high. The prices are too high. But if crazy Kamala is reelected, one of the first acts will be, and she said this, is to massively raise taxes on American families. You know, I've never seen, all my life, I've loved politics, but I've always been on the other side, like writing checks to politicians, right? But so I really understand, I like it and all, but I've never seen somebody that openly campaigns on the fact that they're going to raise taxes. It's always going to be, like when Troy is back in Texas, he's always screaming, I will lower taxes, lower taxes. We always talk, we're going to lower taxes. We want to lower taxes. That's what this group is going to raise your taxes like by 78% or something. And they campaign on it. This is the craziest campaign I've ever been involved in. I had one guy beat, and so I have to beat two people instead of one. I spent $150 million beating Sleepy Joe Biden, who I admire greatly for one thing. You know, I always have a hard time sleeping because I toss and turn. And honestly, I do. I think about the country. I'm tossing and turning and tossing because I want to, you know, like a lot of people do. You have businesses, you toss, turn. It's okay. It's like become your way of life, right? We think about whatever we're doing. In my case, I'm thinking about China. I'm thinking about Russia. I'm thinking about lots of things. And by the way, the enemy from within, the crazy lunatics that we have, the fascists, the Marxists, the communists, the people that we have that are actually running the country, not her. She's not running it, and Biden's not running it either, and you all know that. Those people are more dangerous, the enemy from within, than Russia and China and other people. Because if you have a smart president, you'll be able to handle them very well. But Kamala Harris, Lion Kamala, is called the tax queen because she loves taxes. So maybe just watch this video. Thank you.
Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax bill.
Calling for a full repeal of President Trump's tax cuts.
If Kamala Harris was elected president, there are many different tax policies which could cripple the economy. But the first thing she wants to do is allow these Trump tax cuts to expire.
Even the New York Times admits that 85% of the middle class got a tax cut.
Americans will face a hike. The Tax Foundation finding that a couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would have to pay over $2,400 more in taxes.
And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut. Joe and I are about to get rid of that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut.
Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic. We've got to increase the corporate tax rate. Part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up. We will tax capital gains, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes.
Taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves to say, we're going to tax what you don't have. That's a sore point, and it's a big deal. Is that something you think she firmly believes in?
I think it's part of the proposals of the campaign.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee. There has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, in that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular, a carbon fee.
How about the tax on unrealized gain? That one hasn't even been tried. That's a communist tax that hasn't been very successful, I tell you. It's, think of it, they want to have a capital gain on unrealized gains. Think of what they're saying. You're going to pay a tax on something you haven't made. No, these people, these are stupid people, would be driven into a depression like 1929-style depression. For years, Americans have watched as our country has been stripped of our jobs, stripped of our wealth, and seen our companies being sold off to foreign countries. And by the way, I would not approve the U.S. steel deal to Japan. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. One of the greatest companies in the world, 60 years ago, was one of the greatest countries in the world, and we have to help it. We have to make it better. We have to be able to make steel. It could happen. You have a war. And when you have a war, you need things like army tanks and ships and lots of things that are made of steel. we don't want to get our steel from China. We don't want to get our steel. You know, I put a tremendous tariff because China was dumping a lot of bad steel here. Bad steel, dirty, I call it dirty steel, not good steel. But I put a big tax. You know, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. No other president took in 10 cents, and I saved our steel industry by doing it. So I'm very proud of that. But under my plan, for the U.S. economy, American workers will no longer be worried about losing their jobs to foreign nations. Instead, foreign nations will be worried about losing their jobs to America because we're taking them back. We're going to bring those companies back, and we can do it with intelligent taxing. We can do it like they've been doing to us for years. It's very simple. And we have the place that people want to be, and it's not going to be that way always. If we keep going like this, nobody's going to want to be here. German car companies can become American car companies. We can beat China in electronic production. Manufacturers that have left us will come roaring back. They're going to come roaring back. This thing has gotten such great reviews. I'm going to explain it. It's so simple. And some people said, wow, that's unbelievable what you're doing. Where did you get that idea? I'm going to go a little forward. I got the idea from, if you want tax benefits, you have to build in America. If you don't want tax benefits, you don't have to do. The United States will give you the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs. We have the most energy. We have more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. We're going to give you the lowest energy, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market anywhere on the planet, but only if you make your product here in America and hire American workers for the job. And we don't do that. You know, there's this crazy person that you just watched. She gives you a tax benefit if you make your product in another country. These people, it's so crazy. And if these companies don't take the deal, they'll pay a very substantial tariff when they send their products made in another country to us, and we will use the hundreds and billions. We will, it's really trillions, okay? But we're going to use the hundreds of billions of tariff dollars to benefit American citizens and to pay off debt, because we have to start paying off debt. And this new American industry will create millions of jobs, massively raise wages for American workers, and make the United States a manufacturing powerhouse like it has never been before. We were good, but we can be better than that. If we do this, and it's so simple, and essentially we're doing to them what they've done to us. They do it, it's so, and some of the worst abusers, I call them abusers of our country, are our so-called allies. What they do to us on trade is just incredible. It's not going to happen any longer. I guarantee you it's not. You know, they respected your president 4 years ago. Now they look at this guy, and now they have somebody that's dumber than he is coming along. It's not good. It's not good. And we can't play games. I'd like to be nice. I want to be nice. I think I'm a nice person, but we can't take games. We can't. If we lose this election, this country's finished. I really believe it. This country's finished. By contrast, the tax queen is demanding a 33% tax hike on all domestic production. You know what's going to happen? All of those companies, even small businesses, but all of those companies are going to leave our shores. Everybody wants the companies. That's what they want. It's very competitive. She even has a plan to tax the unrealized, and we're going to talk about that, but it's the craziest thing. Never been done, could never be successful. What it will do is bring you into a wonderful age of our country. 1929 depression. Everybody's going to leave. So if a company succeeds, it must give up much of its value to the government of the United States. Everyone's going to leave. They're going to take their companies. They're going to get out. You know, it used to be you moved from state to state and you'd negotiate. Now people are moving their companies to other countries. And we're getting killed, by the way, by Mexico. Mexico is killing us. So just be ready, because if I'm president, we're going to take that back from Mexico. They're not treating us right. They're building massive car plants. They're building some of the biggest auto plants, car manufacturing plants anywhere in the world. And then they think they're going to build them cheap and sell them into our country and destroy Michigan and all these wonderful states. So it's not going to happen. We'll put a tariff of 200% on if we have to. We're not going to let it happen. We're not letting those cars come into the United States and destroy our car industry. You won't have anything left. You've already lost 60% of it. You've lost so much over the years. Not when I was there.